Hey everybody, it's Doug here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new playthrough. Now, as time has gone on, I've collected some games that have not gotten out of the shrink. No matter how good they are, it has nothing to do with their quality or anything. It's just time and other games that have come out at certain times, and so it'll sit on the shelf and wait for me to remember that it's still there. And this is one of them. This is Direwild, and it combines two things that I really enjoy, which is kind of tactical dungeon style crawling battles and individual characters and deck building. So all of those things combined, you think, man, why didn't I have this on the channel sooner? I probably should have, but I didn't. Anyway, I'm going to do it now, and I've set the game up. I got to do one more thing. I got to get his deck out, but I've set the game up for a two-player game, and that is where we're going to start. Now, currently, I'll show you. We're first going to go over talking about the characters that we're going to play. Then we're going to talk about how the game works. We'll just go through the playthrough real quickly. There are other playthroughs of this out there, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time going through it, but it is already set up. So, for example, I have the two minions ready to go. Of course, we don't know what they are yet, and here they are on the board. You have the green minion, red minion rather, sorry, and the blue minion over here. And this is the board that we put out. Now this is a board, so it flips over to the next scenario. There's another scenario, and then underneath that is Karn's Dungeon. If we manage to play the entire series, it would go basically through a few games, 3 games to be exact. In which case we could defeat Karn, but I doubt that's going to happen because this game is, let's just say, not at all easy, and so we got to keep that in mind. This is a rough game. So the one thing I do want to talk about is Karn himself. So I have Karn's deck here. He's pretty nasty. Now we're just going to not talk about what Karn does. We're going to keep this deck just like it is, and then down at the bottom we have these regenerate cards. So we're going to put 2 of them because we're having a 2-player game into his deck. Onto here, and we'll shuffle it up. On the back it just says Karn's counterattack. It talks about his skills and abilities, but we're not going to deal with that right now. We're going to put his deck on the table, and basically we have to go through this. When we defeat him, we discard these, and then eventually we'll get to one of these. Then we have to do it 2 more times to be able to completely win the game. And it says if this stack is empty, this is why I left it blank, you have done the impossible and defeated a god. Well, I understand that from what I do understand about the game is this is rather impossible, or very, very difficult to do. So there we are. There's his deck. We'll just continue on with that. There are also, now you can make the game tougher. There are these advanced AI cards, which we are not going to be using. So, yeah. And that's called the hardcore deck. But that is going to remain away from us. We're going to use the basic deck because, frankly, I've seen some things on this and I've never played it. So we're going to find out the hard way how hard this game really is. I don't even know if the characters I picked will succeed. I just kind of picked there's these clans, and I picked them at random. Each clan box has 2 different characters in it, and each character has a basic ability that they both share from the clan, and then 2 special abilities of their own that they can activate with magic. We'll talk about those characters in a minute. But remember, I said this was a deck builder. Up here at the top of the very long board is this massive deck of cards. These are the 90 basic critters that you can recruit into your deck. Now, this deck has a really unique mechanic. And while I will say it's full of kittens and puppies, and it is, literally, you're going to be recruiting, by the use of charm, these creatures into your deck. And this shows up here that basically this is telling you some things. Like when you purchase this, you can add 1 to the charm to actually put it on top of your deck as opposed to in your discard pile, which is kind of cool. And also you can get rid of it, destroy it, take it off the board, and put it in the destroyed pile to be out of the game. And when it's destroyed, it's gone, right? And then we have these things we can unlock. Now, because we're playing a 2-player game, there are 4 such cards. They cost 1 charm each. And this one, it locks the advanced creature deck. So when we unlock that, we will have access to advanced creatures. Now, you always also show the top of the deck, so in this one we're going to have a veiled hummingbird. Now I'm going to talk about what everything is on the card just briefly. Okay, so you see up in the top right-hand corner, you have the cost, and it says draw a card, you may destroy a card. In the wilds, he gives you 0 charm, meaning that he doesn't contribute to anything you purchase. He has 1 fly. We'll talk about fly later. These are, and he's got zippy, which is one fly. So if we use him for that ability, it can make another creature zippy. We'll talk about how all that works as we play, but that's the general way. You're going to use these creatures in two different ways. One's going to be to purchase, the other, well, three different ways. Purchase, either be your main creature or provide other abilities to the creature. For example, this Eldvar Chameleon can provide these skills when you play it as an advancement for another creature. It's a reptile, gives you 2 attacks. This means pushback right here. It means when you use it to attack, it's going to push them back 1 if you successfully hit it. And it's camouflage. So let's say I had a puppy. I was attacking with a puppy. I would have a camouflage puppy that's much tougher. So he's striking from camouflage and he can't be hurt. That's the concept behind the deck building. It's pretty interesting. Now, let's continue on with some other things. Okay, down here at the bottom of the board, you see this stack here. You see number 6 there. I have to take 6 of these wounds out. There's no difference in them. They're just cards. So 2, 4, 6. This goes into this fatal wound pile. And if ever this fatal wound pile is empty, we lose the game. So we got to be real careful about that. These wounds here will find their way into our decks and clog up our decks. And then the rest of the minions, a level 3, level 4, and 2 acolyte minions for Karn's dungeon are in this stack. The other 2 have already been placed on the board. And then over here we have treasures. We're going to gain treasures as we play. And then over to this side we have the enemy AI. And I've shuffled that and put it down. That means the enemy AI is going to do things that we don't like attack us and stuff. Now, and also get Karn closer to appearing on the board, because once he reaches his shrine, he will appear here, and then we'll have to appear on the board, and we'll have to fight him directly. See, these are our 2 characters. This one is Tog. He's like a giant of the Groundbreaker clan. That's him right there. And then we have Romy. She is a Shadowleaf clan, like an elf or something. They do like poisons and stuff like that. We'll see how they work in a minute. I'll show you the characters. We also have these 2 minions, which we don't know what they are yet. Minions, we use the generic miniatures with the bases because there could be, depending on the level of players, multiple minions on the board, and they're going to change every time, so it adds replayability. And then on this map, you see these little treasure chests. We have these treasures. That's how we gain the treasures from the deck there. So we will have a maximum of 4 treasures in this scenario. And this is called Red Mill Fields. It's Chapter 1. So we're going to go into Red Mill Fields and try and defeat the minions as quickly as we can before Karn shows up, and then we have to defeat Karn. So hopefully we built up a good deck by then. Okay, so here's a character. This is Groundbreaker Tog. On the other side is another character. We're not going to go over that right now. And you can see he's got this stamina track, as did Karn and the minions. And this doesn't mean, this is not hit points. Well, it kind of is, but it's not. This means that as we go down on this track, we become more vulnerable to attacks. And as we go up on this track, we become less vulnerable to attacks. And basically how it works is if we actually get hit back by a creature, we're going to take a fatal wound unless it says otherwise. So basically we want to toughen ourselves up so we have a higher attack value, make ourselves harder to hit. He's got some abilities. He's got Berserker. When you take a non-fatal wound, you gain 1, I think it's called Rage or something like that. When you take a fatal wound, you gain 2 Rage, and then you can do things with that. We'll talk about that. It's going to be in his, it's right here. Rage, yeah, it says a hero or enemy has their stamina raised by 1. That's this right here. So if I take 1 Rage, it's going to go up. If I take 2, it's going to go up further. He's going to become more difficult. You may also take a wound to destroy a wound in a stress or strain or whatever. You're going to distress yourself to go down to destroy a wound in your hand and draw a card. Pretty powerful ability. And then we have these things that cost magic, mana. That's our mana right there. This is in our active pool. We have 2 currently, and there's 4 available to us for a maximum of 6. And how we get those is when we damage minions, we put these on as damage markers, and then when the minion is destroyed, we get them back as power. I believe destroyed. I'll double check that. Again, I haven't played it before. It says, so for we can use the aggressive ability at the cost of 1. This is before hero battles, so we got to remember that's before. Give them +1. Now we're just not going to move it up. It's just +1 for that attack. You may only do this once per battle. And then 2 is backup. After a hero rolls a die in battle, Tog takes a wound and adds, now it's a wound, not a fatal wound, and adds a D3. Okay, now right now when we do attack, we're adding a D3 to a combat die for ourselves. For ourselves and for the enemy. So we have to overcome the enemy's skill. No, we don't roll for the enemy. I'll double check that too, but we do definitely have to overcome a skill. So we can get close and we roll a d3. Now, enemies don't attack us back. It's just if we attack an enemy and don't hit it, then it's going to hit us back and give us a fatal wound. Remember, we can do that 6 times. So we have to be very careful about making sure we hit the enemies. Now, in the beginning, the enemies are not active. They don't really do anything. We can run around the board and do all kinds of stuff. So until we attack them or they become active, then they don't really do much except for move around the board. Now, if we end our turn, one of the ways to become active is if we end our turn orthogonally adjacent to a minion. Okay, let's talk about the turn order. Okay, this is a reference card. It's real nice thick cardstock, but this shows you the turn order, and some basic things. So, first thing we're going to do is move counters to 0. Now, we're always trying to move counters to 0. So, like with Karn here, you see he's on 0 now. Let's say he was down here, and during that phase we would move it up 1 to -1, and next turn we move it up to... It always moves, unless it'll change based on things that happen, but it always moves up for everybody, minions, us, everyone else. Then we're going to reveal the AI card down here and see what we're going to do. We'll take the actions of the AI card. Then, after the AI card has gone, we're going to choose turn order, and we're going to draw. Now, it's important to play all drawing cards one at a time in this game, so we're going to do that one at a time based on the turn order. I'm trying not to get out of sync, even though you can communicate and talk about how you're going to do that. Then after you've played all your cards, because there's some cards that might give you additional cards or make you discard to take another card, so you really got to do them in order. And then you're going to spend your charm and build a creature. Okay, once you've done that, you can move, battle, and discard. Okay, so moving is basic. You got 3 movement, but you can spend a stamina to gain an extra move. Okay, that means you can move 4 total. I don't think you can, per move, so I think you can do that over and over again, but then you'll burn stamina and be more vulnerable. You can disengage. You have to remove a fatal wound. That's really bad. So if you're stuck next to somebody and you want to disengage them and not fight them, it costs a fatal wound. It's one of the ways you lose the game. And then hero battles, you're going to compare your you're going to compare your attack of a summoned creature plus D3. A critical hit means you got a 5 above, and you're actually going to do 2 wounds. And you can use the magic crystal from any character to add that second wound. And it gives you a whole bunch of what these things are. So this is poison. A hero enemy has their stamina lowered. A hero or enemy. Flight. Flight allows the hero to attack from range. A hero may attack an enemy from 1 space away. Normal at for each point of flight they have. And then this is knockback. We talked about that. Charm, attack, movement, magic. And then there's going to be special effects in some of the things. That's basically it. We have 2 dice. We have a 6-sided die and a 3-sided die, the D3, that we'll be using to fight with. And we're going to basically shuffle up our deck and get started. Now there's some other special abilities we have to deal with here. Let me show you that. Now these have to be unlocked in order, but once we've unlocked the advanced creatures, we also can unlock channeling, which is right here. And it says if you did not battle, you may return a creature with you played the same, return to the top of your deck. That's channeling. And then you have heightened reflexes, which you may now roll. This is a real good one. You may now re-roll 1s. Any 1 result by taking a wound. I don't know if I mean that's kind of a gift, up and down. And then veteran, you can use a D6 in battle instead of a D3. That's really valuable because now then you become that much tougher. And once you've unlocked it for the game, it doesn't reset in the next game. Nothing does. This game continues on until you've lost or you've beaten the enemy. So. Through the 3 scenarios that we'll be playing. If we can make it that far, this is a blind playthrough, like I said, so we may not be able to make it that far. We'll just have to see. Now, each deck for each hero contains 8 generic cards. I think it's 8, I believe it is, and 2 special cards. So Tog's deck has 2 special creatures in it to support him. Here, I'll get those out. I'll show you one deck just so you see it. You have kittens and puppies. Kittens are like in any good deck builder. Let me just pull back for you so you can see it better. Like any good deck builder, kittens are your money resource. They don't do anything else for you. Puppies, they don't provide you any charm. The kittens do, but they provide an attack value, and they also have furry, which gives you a basic attack. Okay. So you have puppies, and this one's hyper, but it basically all does the same thing. Gives you an attack value, loyal, and then you have your 2 specials. So for Tog, he's got these 2 rock stouts. And it says, you may wound yourself as a special ability Don't know, because his special ability, he can destroy a wound card in his hand to draw a card. That's pretty good. And it gives you 1 charm, plus it's got a value of 2 in combat, and it has this one has the ability of Fearless, which gives you another power, and they're both the same. That's basically what his deck looks like right now. Now I'm shuffling that so we don't know where everything is. But as you can see, there's much tougher creatures for costs up on the top of the board. And there's synergies. Like sometimes if you start building a lot of creatures of a certain type, you want to keep with that type. So let's take a look at Romy's deck. I'm going to find Romy's specials. You can see she's got some kittens. That's a Kiln Salamander is her special. It says you may distract. Now distracting means they can, I'll give you an example. Let's look at this minion board right here. You can see that these 2 are bigger and these 2 are smaller. With distract, it'll knock them down 1 on the stamina. You're distracting them and then it goes down 2, but you can't go any farther than that. So once it's here, you can no longer distract a creature. It also gives you +1 charm, and it has a 2 value like the other creature. Now this reptile gives you 1 combat and 1 movement, and it's slippery, so it's pretty good. That's how they start. And again, these decks are going to grow and build. Each turn we can buy as many cards as we can afford to buy based on the points that we have. And of course we want to unlock the specials like the advanced creature. We know it's going to take 4 charm to unlock the advanced creatures. So we got to get to that soon. Just shuffling up Romy's deck there. And then I think we're going to get ready to play. So we'll do 1 full round. Okay. And then we'll stop there for this episode, and we'll go on to the next episode where we'll just play a number of rounds. I may do 1 or 2 rounds a session. We'll see how it goes, depending on how fast they go. I think they'll go pretty quickly, but that is an overview of the rules. So let's get started. Okay, now I won't go through this every time, but as you know, the first thing we do is we move our counters. Well, everybody's at 0 because we're just starting a game, so we don't have to worry about that. Then we reveal the first AI card. Okay, what does it say? We're going to just flip it over here. So this means that Karn's going to move. The minions are going to move 3, and they're going to prioritize the first player. Now, we don't have a first player yet. We haven't decided that in the first turn. But they're not active, so it doesn't matter. And then if Karn was on the board, we'd take a fatal wound off the stack. That's what these 3 things mean. This isn't a terrible card to start with. So let's go start with moving Karn. Here's Karn, and I do have a miniature for him. Now, if you don't have the Kickstarter version of this game, they will be standees, but that's the only thing that's really different. So we're going to move him up 1, and I think every single card in the basic deck moves him up 1. I don't think there's any... You're going to have him come out in like 5 turns, so you just need to be prepared for that. There's no chance of that not happening. But now we're going to move the minions on the board. There's some interesting things about that. You see these footprints, so they're going to follow the footprints on the board. So we're going to move the red one first. He's first, so and it's going to move 3. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Now let's say he was active and we had a choice of movement. There's a movement priority here, and you can see the direction. So 1 is that way. So as a priority, if an enemy is closest to you, it'll always try to move that direction first. That doesn't mean it will. It means it's going to, if it has to move to an enemy, it's going to move in the shortest, the way possible based on this map. That's what it's going to do. You'll see how that plays out. And then this one's going to go from here, 1, 2, 3. So right there. So that's what they did. Now, unfortunately, they're both right next to treasures, so but we can still get to them. Okay. Now, that was the reveal the AI card. Oh, we actually... Yeah, we're good. And then we're going to draw our cards and play them out. The thing we do is we choose turn order. I don't think it really matters, but I think I'll just have Romy go first, and Tog go second. So we'll just do that, and that means we're going to draw Romy's cards. And it says the players draw. We're both going to draw, and then we'll play cards, but Romy will play them first, and we'll see how this plays out. It'll be interesting. I have to say, as I haven't played it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is our hand. Let's see what we got. We got our Kiln Salamander. That's pretty good. A kitten, a puppy, a kitten, and a kitten. Now the kittens don't do anything other than give us resources. And put that down. I want to draw Tog's deck. Now let's see what he gets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Let's see what he's got. A kitten, a kitten, a kitten, a kitten, a kitten. Wow, he's not doing anything but buying stuff this turn. That's okay. So let's go do Romy. Now he can still move because you can always move, but we'll see what he does. Let's first go do Romy's cards and play them out. Okay, here is her hand. Well, we're going to make sure so right now, let's look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points to spend. And what are we going to spend it on? I think that we are going to, since we already have a reptile, I believe we're going to take the first one in the stack. Now we have 4, so I'm going to spend 4 to put it on top of our deck. Okay, so remember, you can spend an extra 1 to put it on top of your deck. We're going to take this Eldvar Chameleon. It says you may replace this card with a 0 or to 5 card in any player's discard. We'll see how that plays out. We don't use that very much, but we will use his strength 3. So he cost us 3, and we spent 1 more to put that on top of our deck, basically guaranteeing that he'll come out next turn. Oh wait, you know what? In the beginning, we don't have to do that. So instead of doing that, I'm going to spend 3, and then we'll see what we do next. I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Remember, in turn order, you spend your charm before you build your creature, because that could change what cards you have there. But anyway, we're going to take this advanced creature card out. We're going to spend 1 to get that out of the board, and that is going to go into the destroyed card pile. Now we're going to build our creature. Well, the kittens don't matter, so we're just going to take the 3 of them out. They don't do anything. And we'll do this. Well, actually, we'll do this and have the puppy up front first. Why? Because we're not going to attack this turn. We just want the extra movement. So we're going to do it like so. So the puppy, we're going to have a slippery puppy, and it's going to give us an additional movement this round, which is pretty good. But like I said, that's only attack value of 2. We're not going to bother to attack. We don't want to activate minions. We'll let them activate on their own, or once we've beefed up, we'll do better. So let's go take that move action now. So we're going to move 4. We can move a total of 4. Really don't need to, but we're going to collect a treasure. Let me look at the board and see which is most advantageous for that better movement. Bottom line is we had to build a creature anyway, so getting extra movement doesn't hurt us. There's things that they can do to affect the monsters, but I don't think we're not going to do any of that. If I had distract, I'd definitely distract one of them and lower its stamina. Anyhow, I think she is going to go. I think she's just going to go 1, 2, 3 right to there, because then she has no. Actually, she can go right 4 to right there, and she'll have no chance of this minion because it's walking that trail right there. We'll have no chance of it coming next to it. I don't think we have to be on the card. Do we have to be on the card? On the token. Let me look on the rules. When you're picking up treasure and moving, just to make sure that that's the way that it works. So let's see. Yeah, there's like several pages. It's really a pretty well mapped out rule book. I'm just looking for the treasures. Okay, there we go. Looting treasure for hero ends their turn over a treasure token. So we do have to land on the treasure token. So we will be taking the slightest bit of a risk. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So even if our other guy lands on this one, we're still okay. But we're going to take that because we want that treasure token. We're going to take that off the board. There's only 4 available to us, and then we're going to draw our first treasure. I will just give it a quick shuffle because I don't know that how well I shuffled it. I thought I did, but heck. Let's see what we get. And then we're going to go pull a treasure card. Okay, what do we get here? Let's see. We get Potion, Omni Mana Potion. Destroy this card to gain 1 magic and have another hero gain 1 magic. Okay, she'll take that. I don't know. We might just do that right now. I don't know what the value is, but just in case, I'll hold on to it for a round. We're not going to do anything with it this round, so it's okay. And then we're going to go back to our turn. I think that's going to be the end of her turn. And we'll just clean up her cards and put them in the discard pile. And we'll continue on from there. All right, so I have her discard pile set up. And we're going to now move on to Tog's turn. All she did was move and pick up the treasure. She's not fighting anything. She's not trying to activate a minion. Now remember, you have to end your turn with a minion adjacent to you orthogonally to activate it, to turn it on. So it is not on. If for some reason it only moves 1, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But that's okay. Now we know that Tog is not moving, but he's going to buy some stuff. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to purchase with. So I forgot to do this. This hummingbird, this weld hummingbird will come down here and we'll reveal another one. An Emberbank Otter. It's a mammal. Let's see what this does. If Otter is discarded from card effects, you may redraw it. Okay, well, that's interesting. I don't know how interesting he is, but I do like this guy. The Great Winged Vulture. He's a bird. I don't know how that fits with our scheme, but he has 2. He also does flying, and he gets +1. It says the vulture's nature's hipster has some bonuses for when you are you get a bonus to attack and a bonus to flight. We'll see how that works. I think I'll look at the stats on that, see how it works. But we have a whole bunch of things. We've got this one will do poison. That's pretty good if that's your creature, not if you use it for its bonus. But the other cool thing about this vulture is that you can turn a creature into a flying creature and it can attack at range. That's not a bad idea. But let's take a look at the jackalope. I think it gives you movement, token jack. Oh, it's gift. This is a really good ability. Have another player discard a card from their hand or in play. They may then draw a card immediately. Now, the reason it's here on this bar is because it happens in the charm phase when you're purchasing creatures, not after you create your creature. So you don't have to have this as your creature to be able to activate that ability, and that's why you got to do this in order. However, he gets plus attack, where attack equals unspent movement, and if so, we get a bonus if we are using him and have movement. So if we only move one to attack, then we're in a good place. That's a pretty good one. I like that gift ability. The Fellspring Cobra, an enemy. Look, it says poison an enemy if you have another reptile in your discarded play area. We don't yet. I think that would be good for Romy, so I think we're going to leave him there. And he also has a 3 attack. He's pretty tough. This Fogmount Parrot, it says copy the ability of a 0 to 3 creature you have played this turn. That's pretty good. And it also gives you a movement. And then, of course, this Red Mill Owl says draw a card. Doesn't give you anything. Draw a card, 1 attack, but it's still pretty good. I think at the end of the day, so the vulture's attack bonus is equal to additional flight, like your flight. So if we add another flight to the vulture, it gets tougher. That's pretty good. However, I do think we're going to take the Totem Jackalope. Boom. We're going to take that to, and we're just going to, so he has 5. This one costs 3, so we have 2 more. I think we'll just put this on in his hand. It doesn't matter if it goes in his discard pile, because it's going to get drawn in a round anyway. I don't know if we're going to attack, so I think we'll just let that go in his discard pile. I think that's fair enough. And so he'll put that in a discard pile, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this Emberbank Otter and put it out. Now we got 2 more points to spend, but let's see what we draw. Could make a difference, but I doubt it. We're going to draw Spitting Lizard. It's probably, again, more for Romy with the reptiles and stuff. It's 2 strength, and it's got 2 range, 2 flight range. That's pretty good. And it gives you that range. That's a really good card. He's not going to take it, though. He will spend 1, 2, and get us 2 closer to unlocking our advanced creatures. Now, he could have bought the Fogmount Parrot, but I think we're okay just buying that for now. Again, you also don't want to bloat. You really want to focus your from what I understand, you really want to focus your hands on the creature types you get. Okay, so we moved. We built our creature. We then moved and battled discarded, but we don't really have anything. And since Tog did not get to build a creature, it's just going to pass. So he didn't even get on the. He could move. I mean, we can still move him. Yeah, why wouldn't we? We're going to move him. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We'll move him to right here. He hasn't got the treasure yet, but he's right next to it. He had no way to get extra movement that round. So maybe next round he will. Anyway, let's make sure. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. That's bad. That's bad. Well, we can do it. I think. Okay, when you are in the staging area, let's do this right. We can move off. I think it's anywhere here. Yeah. So we're going to go 1, 2. So he's going to end up 1, 2, 3. He's likely end up right there. We'll move right there. We'll just move right there and be prepared to go get that treasure. I think that'll get us closer, and then we'll see how the next turn rolls out. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the round. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll go on to our next turn, but we're not going to do that in this video. We'll do that in the next video. So anyway, guys, that is the setup and starting turn for Direwild, a deck-building, dungeon-crawling game where we're trying to defeat a big, nasty guy named Karn, and in doing so, we got to try and take out his minions as quickly as possible. We're getting close to unlocking our advanced creature deck already, which is good, but they cost more, so we'll have to build up to be able to do that as well. That being said, we do have we've added creatures to our decks. They're not going to be in our hands. Maybe that was a mistake, but we'll see. It means we got another round of basic stuff before we can fight, really. So we're going to go 2 rounds before we really fight. That means Karn's only going to be 3 rounds away from appearing on the board. He takes 15 damage. For every wound, we got to do 15 damage. That's really hard to get to early in the game. But we do have our magic and stuff to make him weaker, right? So if we can get him down by 3, that'll put him down to a 12. That's pretty good. We can see if we can do that. Okay, guys, that's the end of that. talk to you soon. We'll see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoy this, and I'm glad to be back at it. I've been like out of this for weeks now because of life stuff, but we're getting closer to coming back in, and this is the first start. So join me next time for Direwild. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. The subscriptions are very, very helpful in determining the long-term success of this channel. I've been doing it for a long time, but I got a wonderful base of subscribers. I appreciate it, but let's keep pumping that up. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.